You know, before I came into treatment, and for a majority of my life, it was just turmoil. Everything went wrong. I didn't like myself. I didn't like the people around me. It got to the point where I didn't want to live.
The disease of addiction can ruin lives and comes in many forms: drug addiction, alcohol abuse, gambling, and sexual addictions. Sadly, more than 90% of those who need help never get it.
My alcoholism and my addiction had run my entire life. I had no identity. I had no idea who I was anymore. And it was ruining not only my life, but the lives of the people around me. My parents had a warrant out for my arrest and a restraining order against me. Long story short, I ended up going through an interventionist who strongly recommended this program. You know, he worked closely with them. He knew the program. He's been here, visited, he saw the facility, and he knew it was a good place.
That's the beginning of alcohol addiction. We're not able to process what's going to happen to us. An addict has to learn to live in real life and participate so they can feel good and relate without the use of chemicals.
One of the most important components in the treatment of addiction is, first and foremost, developing a therapeutic working relationship with the individual. Once that relationship is established, then we're able to really work on exploring those maladaptive behavior patterns, other underlying issues that perpetuate substance use.
What we found is most addiction programs don't work long term because a client comes into treatment and they're in a very safe place. They don't have to worry about any outside influences bringing them back to wanting to use. We've removed all of that. They learn the coping skills there, but they're not really in the phase where they can actually start to apply them. And that's what they need to do, is to be able to get out in the real world and see if what they've learned actually works.
When I started Insight to Recovery, my goal was to create a program, a treatment program, that could be more effective as far as helping the addict remain sober after treatment.
Basically what we do different is, traditionally speaking, if a patient comes into IOP, they come to group 3 hours a week. And at that point, they go out and they do whatever they're doing and nobody's there to follow up. What we do is we follow up with them on those off hours so that we know that what they're saying in IOP is matching up with what they're doing, because that's the time that they usually struggle, and that's what makes Insight to Recovery a bit different from traditional programs.
What makes a successful recovery program is not only dealing with the addict, but dealing with the family and their issues. Lots of families are codependent and enabling, and those behaviors need to be addressed. So the addict leaves treatment and starts developing a healthier relationship with their families.
You know, my parents have come down here to visit, whether I was in treatment or out of treatment, and we've experienced time together as a family, which has been nice. You know, a lot of our relationship has been deteriorated, you know, to some point or some degree, but slowly and surely, you know, we're building that back up, and I can see it, and it feels amazing.
Being alone will create that urge to want to use, because then they feel that void, that pain of being alone and empty.
What we found with a person being successful in treatment and having every component come together is that a client really needs to be able to get out into the real world with a good support network, that they know they're not doing it on their own, that they have those people in their lives that can help them when they see that they're falling or faltering, that they can pick them up and help them along the way so they're not alone doing this.
They told me to get a sponsor. They had me get a sponsor while I was here. You know, not everybody does that. That was important to me because I needed that push. You know, I needed that accountability. So here they are telling me, they're bringing me to meetings, you know, it's showing me basically where I can find a home group, because that's a necessity. You know, it's a community where you can feel at one, where you can feel at peace, where you could feel a part of.
It's extremely important, very important, to have activities that the addicts can participate in, where they can start having fun, starting to become responsible, making their own beds, fending for themselves, filling out resumes and starting to get a recovery type job, that's critically important, because most addicts have never worked and taken care of themselves.
We also know that diet and exercise is a really important factor because they come in and they've been using substances for so long. The brain and the body physiologically has to be repaired and restore itself to be able to have the best results.
I know what makes Insight to Recovery different and a benchmark program is in the industry is our passion with the staff, from myself to all the staff. Our main goal is to help alcoholics and addicts change their lives, get sober, heal relationships with families, and develop a new lifestyle that's conducive to recovery.